Wait. And hello everyone, hello world, hello people. Sasha is here, another Wednesday, a little bit after 9 o'clock. One other show named Everything You Wanted to Know About Dogs, but you didn't have whom to ask. Thank you so much for supporting this ongoing show with your questions, comments, shares. And without further ado, I'm just gonna jump back and then answer a couple of your questions that you asked, so I can give a little more context to all of that questions that you have asked. And one is about our almost 1 million viewed video about why do you need to pick up the bowl after your dog is done eating in order to see the improvement in the dog's overall behavior. So the food is a sacred moment of unity when the human-dog interaction is in place. So that's why the free feeding of the dogs is a wrong concept, because we do understand that the dogs eat in order and eat by order. So in every structured community, in every pack mentality, in every family where you have older and younger and parents with their kids, the order is important. And every single time, no matter what we emotionally think and what we assume, there is order, regardless our emotional attention to those orders. So what we know is that actually parents always eat first. And that's why it's important in the wolf environment, in the pack environment, for the family for the parents to eat first, because parents are eating the food first, and they bringing the food back to a cave, and then they vomit the food to a puppies. So if we know that the dogs are wolf puppies captured in that time, they always need to have this perception that we ate first. The abandoned food is food that we put down in a bowl and abandon by moving away from the food. And then when we move away from the food is available to the puppies. The food is available to our dogs. So what we do next is we put the bowl down with the food and we move away. And then the dogs has a right to choose. Do they want to eat or they don't want to eat? If they choose to eat, they are welcome to eat. If they choose not to eat, they don't need to eat. But then we appreciate their decision. So when the dogs move away from the bowl, no matter how much they ate, even everything or nothing, the moment they abandon the food is available to someone else. And that is when you go there and pick up the bowl as a responsibility of the owner or of the parent. And that's where we create this. So why it's not good that you take away a bowl from the dog? That's also some of the question. Oh, I wanna challenge my dog and I wanna show them who is alpha. I wanna take away the food so I can show how dominant I am. That's wrong concept, because if the hierarchy is in order and structure, so first the parents eat and then they eat as they go in the structure. So if you go there and take away food that's not abandoned, it's meaning that you are actually a lower ranked family member if you approach the food that's still eating, because all the top ranked family members are already eaten and they moved away, abandoning the food, making it available to everyone in the lower rank to jump and eat as much as they want or need or can. And then the food can be taken away only by the lower rankers of the family. So if you decide to, that's why you never take a bone out away from your dog. You give the dog a bone. If you want to take a bone away, you need to take attention away from the bone. So you call the dog to play with him, to give him some extra treat on the other place, on away from the bone, and then you take a bone that's abandoned. So you never take anything away from the dog, because when you take any food away from your dog, what actually you're showing is that you are lower ranked in that family structure. And the lower ranked are ones that follow. So you can't be one that follows if you provide safetiness and food and everything of that. That's how you confuse your dog. And that's how the dogs develop these control centers in the brain, that when they have this environment in which they live, and now you allow something to be done, your husband allows something that you don't allow, so then you have a dog that's actually confused, and confused dog have the same behavior, can be approached with the two different outcomes depending who the human is when in whom they interact. And then when you actually understand that this family ranking mentality is still so embedded in the dog's well-being, then we take a responsibility and be responsible pet parents by nourishing our furry babies as they should be looked for. Not as a human babies, but as a dog babies, as a wolf babies, with very structured mentality of the strong family leadership and followers down the road of the as it goes. So that's what I wanted to share, and it's very important to understand that food is a sacred union, the sacred point of unity, and you never just leave it there without conscious aware, oh, it's time to feed the dog, and just throw something in the bowl and put them. No, it should be a ritual. It's a ritual, it's a responsibility. The dog decided to evolve from the wolf, to evolve into a dog, to get closer to the humans, so they don't need to hunt anymore. So the food is a sacred point of unity, and as such it should be always considered. And that is why we always need to turn a feeding time into a ritual. And when it's a ritual, there is exaggeration in everything. It's like a liturgy of interaction. That's a sacred moment. And when you exaggerate everything in a communication, that there is a beginning, middle, and the end of the feeding ritual, then the dogs are kind of just completely revealed, and they say, oh my God, finally that they are taking care about us properly. Then another very important point was, why should I not take my reactive dogs into walk? Because the dogs that are reactive already have developed the control centers according to the reactions that they kind of like that they have an idea of the world, and they need to protect us from the world. And then the dogs are actually the reactive dogs, no matter on what, on humans, pets, and other dogs, maybe chickens or whatever, pigeons, whatever the dog react on, is actually danger, that they pursue something as danger, and they should protect us by barking on that or pulling towards that. So in order to prevent dogs of doing that, first we have a very big responsibility to we have a responsibility towards their genetic traits and genetically inherited characteristics. For example, huskies or anything that the dogs are generationally bred for to do, that they cannot perform in a present environment, in this environment that we live in. If you have a husky in the middle of Miami, you can put that dog to sled, and they can put that dog to perform actually what the dog was bred for. So then we have another responsibility, is to keep those talents not awakened. And it's easy, because the talents and genetic potential, it's only a potential. And when you have a potential that you work on as your talent, and you give the best out to pull that talent out from outside yourself, then you actually have a possibility to develop that talent. If you don't work on that talent remain behind a curtain, remain hidden, but doesn't actually challenge your your life. So our responsibility is to adapt dog traits to an environment that the dog actually currently are living in. So if we are able to give our dog possibility to live the happy life in the downtown Miami, if it's a husky, you need to work with that husky as it's a downtown Miami dog, regardless of what breed that dog is. So the breed brings possibility that every single dog has more talent than another breed. So it's only a talent, and the talent can be used, or the talent can be worked on and pulled out, or the talent is something that we just don't work on, and it remains hidden and asleep. And our responsibility as an owner of the husky in downtown Miami is to keep those traits and those talents hidden away and develop some new talents for the dog that will be much useful for them in the present environment where the dog lives. So that's where, when we say like, oh, you don't take your husky to a long walk, because if you develop that trait with your dog, that you go and take a dog just because it's a husky and someone told you that you need to give them a walk every single day, like 5 miles, that dog might end up in a shelter because you don't have that time. Maybe you had it when you bought the puppy, but now you suddenly, in order to pay the mortgage and the rent, now you need to work two jobs. And then you need to travel from one part of the time to another part of the time. And you won't be able to perform at your job properly because you will be always having this fairy guilt in your how you say that, guilt fairy, whispering in your mind. Your dog is at home alone and he need to be taken out for a walk because it's a husky and you need to bring them out. No. What you need to do is you need to interact with a husky downtown Miami. How? By playing with a husky. It can be where the dogs like to play the most. The dog likes to play the most in a cave. So when they go out and when we take a dogs in a walk, they actually don't walk. They are working. What are they doing? They are looking for the food with us together. They are protecting the territory where the food can be found, and they are marking the territory. So all of those 3 things are very, very interestingly, dangerous time for dogs. So they are not enjoying that time. They are enjoying togetherness where they can play with us, but not to play with us in areas that are not safe. So the great place where you can play with your dog is home. It's your garden or it's your flat or wherever. No matter how big dogs, you can always find a way to interact with them on a level of social development. So we develop our social interaction, and that's always happened among the dogs and the family members within the home. If you take your dog to a park, because you live in a small apartment or something like that, in a park, what happens actually, in a park, you have other dogs and you have other people. So the moment you enter some new community, what the dog does at that point is actually they are looking for the pack that's expanded, because they don't know that actually we went there just for a while and we will go back home again. Because once we leave the home and we go to interact with other people and dogs, what happened in dog's brain is we extended our family. And then extension of the family requires claiming the position. So why the dogs actually usually always like to play in the park? They look like they are playing, but what they're doing, they're just structuring themselves among the new pack family members. So the moment that structure is made through the play and little bites here and choking them around and rolling around and playing and fighting nicely with each other, we call them play, but they are doing very specifically. They're doing this power challenge where they want to make themselves understand where which one stays. Once they are settled in the pack hierarchy and that group membership, they just lay down. They don't want to play anymore because there is no purpose of playing. So that's very important to understand that actually sometimes the dogs are very careful about how the family expands and who they, because we take them to a park by thinking that we are taking them there to play, but they're not playing. They're just making another structure of another group. Once the structure is made, usually all the dogs just lay down, they come to you, and then you kind of throw the ball, and then they might go or not. It's not important to them anymore. When the new run and new play starts, when someone goes away, and now we had 5 dogs in a pen, and now someone goes, it's 4 dogs now. So now they need to restructure the game. They fight, they run around again, and they settle again, and in 5 minutes they are all laying down. Then someone again comes, like 2 dogs come. Oh, newbies came. Again, the new game until they not settle, and they would lay down again, and then you would say. So the play in the park depends on the structure of, and that's they're not looking like that as a playtime. They are looking at that as a very, very responsible way of expanding the group, and they want to be sure where is their place. The moment the entire group is structuring their place, the play stops. And then in order to keep them artificially playing and engaged, you need to bring in balls or, jumping with them or playing with them. But again, outside the home, it's a power challenge and very, very carefully designed a way of interaction when the dogs interact with each other. So where is the best play that you develop your relationship and bond with the dog is at home. At home, playing with your dog. It's not meaning that you throw the ball and then you have a ball or something. No, you do whatever you want to do, and when if the dog invites you to come play, you ignore that. So whenever you want, you just invite the dog to come and play on your own term. And that play can be in apartment, like, petting each other, pushing each other, trying to find a way to interact, and it can last like 10 minutes. It's so much value to the dog's psychology, that little guggling and pushing each other and trying to adjust and bringing them in. And just stop, do it for 5 minutes and stop. That interaction with the dog made so much more value for their well-being than if you would take them 2 hours in a walk. 2 hours in a walk exhausts them mentally and physically, but it doesn't bring any relationship. Why? Because they went working. Every single dog is not walking, because that construct of the we need to exercise doesn't exist in the nature. No animal is exercising. No animal is exercising. If you do not go to hunt for the food or to protect your territory or to look for something and mark your territory, you wouldn't make a loss of energy. The making and going into walk is losing the energy for no reason. The best way for you to understand how you interact with the dogs is to observe, for example, the stray animals, the stray dogs, wherever you want to turn. If you don't have them in your area, luckily you maybe want to look for some videos on YouTube, because that was a very big part of my study. I was observing dogs in stray dogs and dogs that were living outside, in the fields around the people's naselja. How you say naselja? Neighborhoods, yes. So, and then I was doing those researches and observations of the stray dogs in Mexico, Bulgaria, Serbia. Where did we more? Hungary. And you will be always able to see that if the dog has provided food, they would just maybe go one block around to mark their territory and to protect it, to push any dogs that might want to come there. And then just you would see them laying around on a sunny places and sleep most of the time. And that what if you would observe dogs for 24 hours that are outside dogs, that are stray dogs, that haven't access to the food, you would do nothing, you would see them doing nothing else rather than just sleeping, even though they had entire freedom to move and go miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. They wouldn't go away from the source of the food. No matter how big they are, no matter which breed they are, no matter which whatever mix they are, you will be able to witness their laziness. The dogs that have food provided are lazy dogs. And that's what we need to understand and embrace. It's okay to take them for the walk. If you want to take them for the walk, if you need a buddy for the walk. But that's, you are going to walk and you are going out when you want and as much as you want. And that's taking that guilt fairy away from you, because feeling guilt of not taking your dog out from a walk is a very big burden for your dog. And dog doesn't want to be reason of your guilt on no matter what level. And if you can understand that actually playing with your dog for 5-10 minutes, 2-3 times a day is much more important for the dog's well-being and overall health and happiness than taking him every day 2 miles in a walk. Of course, you need to take them out for the peeing and pooing and whatever, because they want to do that anyhow in a cave or in the place that they consider a home. They wouldn't do it, not because they are home trained not to do it inside the home, because dogs don't do that in a cave. Every single time when you have your little apartment or your little home or your little house, the dogs wouldn't do it within the house because they don't do it inside the home. They are doing it outside. Why are they doing it outside? Because the poo and the pee is a way that they can mark their territory. So they would always do it outside to use that pee and the poo to protect their territory and to show to the others where the borders of their territory is. So, and that's why when you say home-trained dog, I potty train them so they don't do it in the home, or they do it only on the pee pad or things like that. Of course, they need to do their physiological, and if you don't take them outside, they're gonna usually do it. And that's very important to understand, that if you wanna keep your pads inside for the SOS time when the dog really needs to do it and can do it because its doors are closed and they cannot do it, you always be sure that you put those pads far away, so in the corners of the home, as far away you can. Put it away from on the opposite side of the main entrance into the home, and put them in the corners, so the most far away places in the home, the dogs would probably mark those places easiest and the most, rather than just some pee pad that's in the middle of the home. So don't do that. Like, as much as closer to the walls you can go, even if you have your dog a long time home alone, because they would just, if you have well-developed dog very strongly in that secure attachment, like emotional attachment to you, if you would leave them home like for 5-6 hours because you are at work, or 8 hours, and you have your hidden camera on, dogs would actually just sleep, and it would be their happy time because they are just doing nothing. And then when you come home, then the interactions start. And then when we need to develop this inner ability of ours to, shake our relationship and just give really attention and add value to our relationship. And that's in interaction. Taking dogs to a walk is like giving a child an iPhone. We are just doing something. We think that we are doing something, but actually we are doing nothing. We are putting a lot of burden on them because we feel guilty of taking dogs out for a long walks. Again, if we raise husky inside downtown Miami, we have a responsibility of keeping husky's talents not awakened, because once they awaken, they will be very easily taking that dog to a shelter, because once awakened, genetic potential can take over the life of you both, and then sooner or later it's gonna suffer, because we know uncertainty in a time that we live in, and sometimes it's just gonna be too much. If you, for example, at once you didn't have a children and you have a 9 to 5 job and everything was great, you had time for yourself, for your dog, and suddenly you get, to a level of executive position, and now you need to work like 50, 60 hours a week. Suddenly there is extension of the family. Now you have a wife, you have a child, and you have still a dog that you need to take, and you learn the dog to walk him like 3, 4, 5 hours, like miles away. It's kind of, it's paying the price, and it's not need to that, because the dog doesn't want that sacrifice for us to do for them. They can adapt, they can adjust very easily, but we need to get our guilt fairy away, because the dog doesn't want to sacrifice for us on no level, because the queen is in service, but the soldiers are in service to a queen. So there where we need, we are queen and kings of our families, like a parents of the family to our dogs, and the dogs are soldiers. They're gonna go wherever the queen and king take them to go, and they don't want the responsibility. Neither they have how you call that, skills, neither traits to fulfill queen and king's obligations and ideas. Okay, I'm also happy to answer any live questions that you might have if you want to ask anything. So we engaged in this, and also to take any questions from the YouTube if anyone is there asking something.
Yeah, my dog has gotten in the bad habit of stalking me in the kitchen. When I'm cooking or eating, he's always lurking and very anxious about it.
Okay, so there is a question about who asked? Trisha. Okay, Trisha asked a question about my dog is following me everywhere, especially in the kitchen when I'm doing this and when I'm doing that. So the first idea is to start enforcing 4 rituals. So 4 rituals is a feeding ritual, the parting, reuniting ritual, walking ritual, and playtime ritual. These 4 rituals are actually essentials to establishing a proper family structure. And through these rituals, if performed properly, and why we call them rituals, because you want to exaggerate. You don't want dogs to misinterpret any movement of yours, no matter on which level. So it's kind of like, and that's why these 4 rituals and these 4 communication possibilities that we have with our dogs are everything that we come together for. So the humans, long time ago, like 14, 15, 16, 100,000 years ago, no matter when that happens, science still doesn't have a year consensus on that, but no matter when it happened, they do know that it happened, and it was a wolf, and it's a kind of like what happened, what caused the split was that the more distance of tolerance wolves had towards humans were much nicer towards them. So what the dogs needed to develop, or wolves needed to develop, is this cuteness, and that cuteness was just enough for humans to take the dogs away, to take those puppies and to take those wolves and start interacting with them in return. Yes, for the food. So what we had here is very important connection and the idea of, so the little puppies, the wolf puppies, turn into a dog. But a wolf puppy cannot survive on its own. They need a wolf parents. They need a parents to care for them, as much as the dog needs humans. So the wolf puppies in nature, they do have wolf parents. Dogs, they have humans as a parents, because in their mind they remain the wolf puppies. And then the humans replace the wolf alpha pair, replace parents. And now we still are in that interaction. And how the parents of the wolves interact with the puppies is through these 4 rituals. They provide food, right? And there is a ritual. How is the wolf and wolf puppies interact in the nature? So the wolf puppies will stay home, as the dogs would stay home. And the wolf parents would go and hunt, as we do go out and hunt. The wolf parents go and kill the deer and we go out, do accounting, and then go to a Walmart or Costco or Publix or Aldi or wherever you go and buy the food and bring it home. So the wolf parents do the same. They go out, they hunt, they eat it, they bring it home, and they vomit it out for their puppies. That's what we do too. That is why it's very important for the dog food to be cooked. Because that cooked food is actually an amazingly, it's not only much beneficial for the dogs in a way that the dogs like much more homemade food than both kibbles and things like that. It's also the ritual way of engagement in the same idea of how the wolf parents would interact with the wolf puppies. So they bring home, they vomit that food to the puppies eat. And that's why it's important that we always have that ritual. And how do we mimic the vomiting? It's strange, but it's the same way, by putting the bowl down. Taking a bowl from the counter and putting the bowl down, that movement of the body mimics vomiting and abandoning the food to puppies, and the puppies go and then eat. And the moment the puppies move away, you take the bowl and take it away, so that puppies doesn't need to get intention that, oh my God, this is a bowl where the bowl stays, and now I need to peel up the bowl, so feeding become my responsibility. And then we have, so that's the one. We go out, we hunt, we bring food home, we prepare the food, we give to the dogs food and things like that. Then we have this departure and reuniting. That's a moment of when we cross into the wild world of when we open and close the main door from the house. So the main door of the house or the apartment, whatever, separates the safe place of the home from the wild West world out there. So, and then when we cross that boundary and when we cross that border, we are like alone in that world, and we need to be protected by someone. And if we have a wrong message delivered to our dogs, they're going to develop anxiety on a lot of levels, because the anxiety in the dogs is so hard if this structure of the family is completely upside down. If we become babies to our dogs, put yourself in a mom's shoes. For example, you are now the mom, and then you have a child of 5 years old, 6 years old, that went out in the world, and there is no mobile phone, and you don't know where they are, and you don't know when and if will they come back. So that's which kind of anxiety we put our dogs in if we don't communicate with them properly that we are capable of taking care about ourselves. And then if we are dog babies, if the dogs pursue us as their babies, and because of our behavior, and then we leave the home, and then they enter this anxiety, fear of mom fearing for their kids. And you can just understand, if you would put yourself in these shoes of the mother that is inside the home locked, and their kids are outside in the world, and she doesn't know nothing about them. Can you imagine the level of anxiety that mother would go through? And then finally, when probably she would vomit, dog does. They pee, they poo, they scream, they bark, they eat, they scratch, they try to go out to take care of their babies. So when that comes, when that's not communicated properly, that where we lose parental possibilities, because we are not just aware of these rituals. And then in order to take them properly, we just need to observe what the wolf parents were doing in the puppies world when you have, and that I had very much luck for my teachers and the experiments I was part of to learn about all of these things and to see how the wolf and other canines actually interact as a pack dynamic. And that's once you translate that into a canine dog-human relationship, then you actually see how sad it's this relationship of over-humanizing the dogs and just losing them down the road, but nevertheless losing ourselves as well. So that's why it's very important to understand that when we say like how it was Yeah, that all of these things, when you put in place, that the dogs will stop following you because they will just relax. The dog that actually does follow you around is scared for you. The dog thinks that you are the baby, and that the responsibility of theirs is they never know when you're gonna do wrong things, and then they need to be there for you. And there is a study that showed that the dogs that are actually following their parents, like human parents or their owners, as much as they are having any kind of anxiety, like panting a lot or barking and having any sort of the separation anxiety, those dogs tend to develop at least 60% more possibilities of developing cancer in some later years of life than the dogs that don't do that. And again, everything links back to a chronic stress and the hormonal interaction due to the chronic stress in the dog's body that shuts off immune system, that shuts off the thyroid gland, that brings all of those concerns into place that no food and no care and no cure will be able to compensate, because it's embedded deeply into dog's brain, into dog's consciousness, that they are the parents and we are the babies, that just due to misunderstanding of the basic and fundamental needs of the dogs. I think that's very interesting way of pursuing. And in order, so a lot of things, this anxiety and the dog-human interaction problems can be express themselves in so many different ways and symptoms. But there is only one solution: re-establish the family routine, re-establish the structure of the family. Be a parent to your dog, and then give a dog possibility to be a dog baby, furry baby, but then understand the furry baby needs. It's like your dog, like if we put that in a child, like human-child interaction, like my child need me to support his journey, and I'm enforcing on them, oh no, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. And my kids has their uniqueness. And the ability of the parents is to observe their kids and allow themselves to develop themselves, and then just, slowly nourish their path, inspire their way, not to give them a freedom so they do crazy things that I want to do this and then, because as it says, like the kids would eat every single day chocolate and ice creams all over those. So I'm not telling in that sense, because the kids would do things that would hurt them down the road. If just, anarchy would be there, just give to the kids to do whatever they want. No, you need to inspire kids. And then you need, as a good parent, the mother, that's why, what the difference in the parenting when it comes to the mother and the father, the traits that both can provide to a development of the child are completely different. The father can take a child and take them out into the world and teach them how to observe the world, how to protect themselves in the world, how to protect the family in the world, and things like that for the life to come. But the mother on the other side, on the beginning, she would just observe the kids. The mother would observe their kids, and then they, oh my God, look at this is a talent of my child. This is a talent of my child. I'm gonna enforce this and this and this and this and this. Provide them possibility to develop themselves in what way they are the best for to be developed. The other one would, the parents that are actually very passive and aggressive towards their children. Oh no, you need to go to the tennis, and you need to take classes of this and classes of that, and you need to take this school, and you need to do this and this and this, and the children. The children stay frozen in time and in place, just to be good, just to be perfect, just to be the best. And those kids slowly, kind of like close themselves and become completely irrelevant people to themselves, because they never met self, because there was so much pressure. And the parents did that from the best love, because they thought that if children would develop all of these traits, possibility for theirs would be the best for the future to come. But the time shows us completely different. The proof is completely different. The children that were forced to do things right children that usually are not finding themselves in this world as they can and could, if the parents would just observe them and give them the chance to develop their own traits for whatever they are, because every single one of us is born to do something. And as I said, there is a wonderful saying where it said, like, we would always, what would you love to be? I would love to be a princess. I would love to be a prince, and things like that. But there's a wonderful saying in my one of my speeches that I like to talk to my kids. I mean, kids, it's not the kids, there are people in my academy. When we start talking about that, there is like beginning, like, king is dead, long live the king. And there is two birthdays every one of us has in our life. Is the one that we are born, and the other one when we find out why we are born. So the moment when there is that guy, that the old king dies and the new kings take a throne, there is a saying, a king is dead, long live the king. So at that point, no one cares about old king anymore. All eyes at that second are looking the new monarch, the new king, and the new service. The crown is the same, but the person in service to that crown is different. So what the people are caring about is a crown. The humans that are serving and are in serving to that institution change through the time. If we would all be blessed as much and as such to know what we are born for, as kings and queens are, then we would much less suffer through the life trying to find out what the hell we are here to do. So there is saying, like, I am here to do something. And the best way to find what I'm born to do, the best possibility to help me develop that, come through my parents. If they observe me the way I am, they have a possibility to help me execute my service, or they can help me crash that dream or that purpose of my life to the ground, and then I need to keep developing myself through the life as I go the best possible way I can. Because we are programmed through the life by our parents, by our school, by the political system we live in, the country, the society, the media, everything that programs our mind. So until we peel all of that layers of the onion away from us to finally find who the self really is and what I am here to be. Oftentimes we have these coaches who tell you, oh, just, follow your dreams, do whatever you want, be whatever you're best at, and things like that. And the people still, Napoleon Hill wrote a book, Think and Grow Rich. And he wrote a book, and in book he said later on, before he died, he wrote a letter. He said, like, I gave a people a very simple way to do, very, very simple way to understand how to make themselves rich in no matter which way richness is presented, like a spiritual, material, or whichever way someone pursue richness. There is a formula for that, yet more people are not able to put this principle in use than the ones that are able to put principles in use. So that's very interesting to understand. It said, like, why the people are not able to put the principles in use, because they don't know what is their definiteness of purpose, definite chief aim. Why am I born, and what I'm born to do? And that's very interesting, where you come and see and say, I'm born to serve. That's where the question doesn't come. And Napoleon Hill later speaks in other books. One of them is called Outwitting the Devil. And then he talks about this very interestingly. He said, like, it's not about what I want to do. The question should be asked, what do you, like talking to a God, like, what do you want me to do? What is my service to people? And then how can I render more services and more awaken more people by my existence? And that's nothing to do with the parents' ability to find and to enforce on their kids their unfulfilled dreams and thoughts about how the kids should live. Why did I ended up in this environment talking about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and how the parents enforce their unfulfilled dreams and unfulfilled dreams to their kids is the same way. How do we force our unfulfilled dreams and wishes to our dogs? And that is where the real parenthood starts, to observe your child in best interest of your child, regardless our emotional attachment to that. So we should do whatever is best for our child. If our child is a human child, then let's find what our child is born to do. Why did God have him on this path? And let me help him or help them do the best possible out there. And that's done by observing. Oh, my child likes to sing. My child likes to paint. My child likes this. My child likes sport. Oh, he's great at math, or he's good at this, or he's good at that. And then slowly start developing the talents of theirs and slowly start adding values to what's best for the child. But that's only done by observing. On the other side, when you have this idea of trying to face the ability of you being able to observe your dog, is how you can be the best possible doggy dad and doggy mom and doggy parent. How you can provide your dog, regardless of your emotional attachment and your understanding, what is the dog and how the dog is the best possible way to be a dog in the man-made world. And that's ours to discover. And I think, is there any more questions we can add somewhere?
If you want, but it's
But the question, do we have any question?
not live, but pre.
Okay. So at this point, I think I can say hi to you, everyone, to hello YouTube, hello Instagram. Thank you so much for staying with us in one of new, I think we went and covered a lot in these things. I opened broad questions and a lot of added more more perspective to this human dog interaction and world that we together want to create. And I see you next week, next Wednesday, 9ish, I must say now, in a new episode of a beautiful series, Everything You Wanted to Know About Dogs, but you didn't have whom to ask. Thank you so much and see you next week. Bye.